Subscribe.
Stillness is something that everybody wants, but a lot of us have forgotten how to connect to that very thing. Stillness also happens to be something that we all come from and something that we're all going to return to. But is there a way to experience stillness in our day-to-day life? Throughout this episode of Inspired, episode 6, we're going to be speaking not only about stillness, but how to reach stillness through the experience of chaos. Because ultimately, it's all part of the same spectrum. My name is Jason Shurka, and this is Inspired. So what does stillness mean to you? A lot of people think it's sitting with your eyes closed and making sure that everything around you is quiet. But sometimes there are things that are out of our control. There are beeps, there are honks, there are people coughing, sneezing, yelling, maybe even sounds that come out as I'm recording this very episode of Inspired. But that doesn't negate stillness, because stillness doesn't mean that everything around you needs to be absolutely silent. Stillness is just acknowledging and having the awareness that everything comes out of stillness and everything returns to stillness. What do I mean by that? Let's think about a song for a moment. A song has all these different tones and beats and rhythms to it. But without the space in between each note, that song wouldn't be a song. It wouldn't be able to exist. Let's look at your heart. Your heart has a certain beat to it. But without the pause in between each beat, you wouldn't be able to survive. Your heart wouldn't beat and life wouldn't exist as we know it. The point is that everything that we perceive as chaos is coming from the same place of silence and stillness. That's why they say stillness speaks. Because everything that we perceive as chaos is really stillness. That's the weird thing that we don't really remember, that we've forgotten, because what we see is an illusion. What's really going on is what we have to pay attention to. So how do we talk about stillness in a way that can change our lives? How do we tap into stillness through the chaos that we experience through our lives? First step, there is no such thing as chaos. There is no such thing as disorder. There's such thing as not knowing the order of how things work. So that's why we call something a miracle, because we don't understand the cause that led to an effect. But there is no such thing as an accident. There is no such thing as a sound around you that's happening by accident. And as I said, everything comes from the same place and everything returns to the same place. So how do we connect to that perceived chaos to dive into our own stillness once again? And the best way to do that is for me to paint a picture for all of you. So as you're listening to this, I ask you to imagine what I'm about to paint in your mind's eye. You can even feel free to close your eyes and visualize what I'm about to express. I want you to envision yourself as a very, very big lake, an endless, massive lake. And that lake is very deep, in some cases 1,000 feet deep at its center. Just like any lake, you'll experience different weather conditions on the surface. You'll experience sunny days and rainy days and days with hurricanes and tornadoes and cloudy days and calm days and crazy days. And guess what? On the surface of that lake, the weather conditions will impact the water to experience either chaotic water, very wavy, still, or everything in between. But no matter what weather is happening above the surface of that lake, and no matter what's occurring on the level of the water in that lake, when you dive deep down to that 1,000-foot depth of that lake that represents who you are, nothing up top can impact that. And that's the stillness within you. If you can visualize what I just expressed, in your next time of chaos, in your next time of disruption in your life where you don't know what to do and you don't know how to deal with it, move your attention away from the surface of the lake to the core and the depths of that lake. Dive deep within yourself to the stillness within, because no matter what's going up on top, you will always be able to tap into that essence of who you are and where you come from, which is stillness. The last point I want to speak about over here when it comes to understanding stillness and inspiring each and every one of you to use chaos as a portal into stillness is to understanding the beauty of water and the lessons that it has to teach us. Let's go back to that lake. That lake is still. But if I drop a huge bowling ball in that lake, you'll have ripples, you'll have waves. And that will happen until the waves come back down to stillness. Let's say a big hurricane comes. That lake is going to go crazy again, and then sooner or later will return back to its stillness, even on the surface. So what does that teach us about water? It's not the water that's chaotic. The water simply has a job, and it's the medium that energy moves through. And if you allow energy to move through you, even during chaotic times, you will do exactly what the surface of that lake does. It will get crazy at times, but you remember your stillness deep within. And sooner or later, if you accept that reality and you let it keep going, the water will calm down back to its natural state of wavelessness, of stillness. Because ultimately, water is simply a medium that energy expresses itself through. Let that energy move, and sooner or later, it will return back to that stillness. It just so happens to be that you are made up of 70% water. So you are literally that lake in a vessel moving around. You have that stillness within you because it's who you truly are, and you will have chaotic days, and that's okay. Next time it happens, dive deep within yourself. Find the presence within that lake. Find the wavelessness and the stillness within that lake while still acknowledging everything that happens on the surface. And allow everything that happens on the surface to get crazy and relax right back down again into stillness and wavelessness once again. In the next episode of Inspired, episode 7, we're going to be speaking all about happiness, joy, and gratitude. How to reach that part of us once again. And how a grateful mindset is one that will align you with your highest potential and all your greatest desires and beyond. I look forward to speaking about that on episode 7 of Inspired. My name is Jason Shurka, and this is Inspired. I'll see you on the next episode. Subscribe. Hey, thanks for watching this video. There's so much more I'd like to dive into, but unfortunately, we can't do that here thanks to the heavy censorship efforts from big tech. If you want to explore this topic further, you can dive deep by accessing our entire uncensored library on unified.tv. There's a link in the description below this video if you want to check it out. A membership to Unified TV gives you unlimited access to hundreds of uncensored podcasts, investigative journalism, documentaries, films, and content that was once available on major streaming platforms like Netflix, but is now banned from the internet. For just $14.99 a month, which is less than $1 a day, you get access to it all. Your subscription also helps keep the platform running free from censorship and corporate influence. Please consider supporting us and enjoy all of our unfiltered and thought-provoking content in return. Thank you very much, and I will see you on Unified TV.